Partitura Mundi is a monumental achievement by Bulgarian architect Dimitar Varbanov, whose life spanned from 1926 to 1990. The work was written between 1972 and 1982 and has no analog in world literature, history, or cultural studies, for it is a comprehensive visual narrative of human history and cultural evolution, from the Big Bang through the geological eras and all the way to the early 20th century. In late 2019, a boutique edition was published in Bulgarian, presented as an unfolded 9-meter strip graphically depicting the history of the world. In the 1980s, architect Varbanov described his idea in a documentary on Bulgarian television, as well as in personal notes and articles for various newspapers and magazines. To summarize the intent behind his idea, he explained,
The initial spark for this project stemmed from a modest desire to fulfill personal needs. My understanding of the development of the arts, along with the social and political development of nations, was hindered by the scarcity of visual resources that could efficiently bring me into contact with the material.
Всеки от нас е започнал да събира информация за света, за неговото зараждане, за неговото развитие още от ученическата скамейка. В процеса на много ученически години, а след това студентски, а след това и като специалисти в съответни области, ние продължаваме да набираме информация за това какво е било, какво е минало по тази земя, как е протичал процеса на развитието на човешкото общество и накрая в нашето съзнание остават впечатления, може би концентрирани върху определени области от науката и културата, които седят като острови в нашето съзнание. Много често съм се опитвал да свържа ходът на тези събития, обаче в паметта ми не всичко е запаметяно до такава степен, че да мога да проследя цялостно тази пътека. Ето защо у мен се зароди идеята да направя такова изображение на културното развитие на света, че да проследя цялото развитие от самото създаване на човека до най-ново време. Като архитект, който борави с графично изображение предимно, с чертежи, аз сметнах, че този език притежава големи качества, ето защо се ориентирах към неговата положителна страна. Лаконично, ясно, графично да се изобрази това, което е ставало по света.
The idea was made possible through interaction of two basic frameworks, architecture and music. Experiencing the performance of great symphonic works often leads us to thoughts and feelings similarly experienced when perceiving the multifaceted development of world history and culture. After all, aren't nations like one enormous orchestra performing the grand symphony of human development? What if, instead of the staves of individual instruments in a musical score, we arrange the continuous development of nations with their historical and cultural manifestations? What if bar lines become decades and centuries? Something amazingly clear, concise, and directly understandable would be achieved. To create the visual representation of historical chronology, which I call textography, I took inspiration from the language of my profession, architecture, namely, scaled graphical representation. I adopted the scale of 1 millimeter to represent 1 year as it proved extremely convenient. Thus, on a map that is 1 meter long, I could cover the development of 1,000 years. This approach allowed me to track the synchrony of events by creating vertical cuts in time. As building material, I sourced historical content from credible editions of books and encyclopedias. The information in these references remained silent and lifeless on the pages of numerous volumes. When graphically depicted, events emerged from hiding and spoke with their arrangement, duration, and frequency. Instead of being placed on numerous pages, their visual representation now informs instantly, clearly and categorically. In addition, I used painting to colorfully distinguish between nationalities and highlighted names of significant personalities or events typographically. This significantly increased the clarity and readability of the data, making textography easy to understand. I will present one juxtaposition of historical events that is made possible with such a visual representation of chronological development. In 1453, Constantinople fell when the Ottoman Empire seized Byzantium. At the same time, Cosimo de' Medici was in the midst of his rule in Florence, while the Venetian Republic was in the latter half of its medieval heyday. The Palazzo Medici was completed 1 year earlier, while the Palazzo Rucellai was completed 2 years prior. In Germany, Frederick III of the Habsburg dynasty was in the second decade of his reign. In the same year, the 100 Years' War ended. The writer François Villon was 22 years old. English composer John Dunstable passed away, and Vasily II was in the 28th year of his rule in Russia. Similarly, in 1453, Leonardo da Vinci was 1 year old, and the Dutch composer Josquin des Prez was born around the same time.
Бихме могли да направим и безброй такива съпоставки. Можем да кажем, че в годината, в която Кобрат основа племенния съюз Велика България, в същата година почива Мухамед. В началото на своето развитие е китайската династия там, при която се достига разцвета и най-голямото могъщество и тъй наречения златен век на поезията, изкуствата и публицистиката в най-древен Китай. Бихме могли да правим още много съпоставки, при които ние просто откривателстваме и влизаме в релсите на историята. Ние проследяваме паралелното развитие и придобиваме една ориентация, която ни приземява просто към всеки един момент, така че той да не съществува като остров в нашето съзнание, а да съществува като част от една нишка, която е следвало развитието на човечеството, и много е уместно да си послужа с мисълта на Блес Паскал, който казва, че на цялото човечество трябва да се гледа като на развитието на един човек.
In 1979, architect Varbanov further explained textography and argued for this unique way of presenting information.
Textography is a useful way of conveying information, mainly because of its conciseness. The dynamic age in which we live makes it necessary to restructure how we consume cultural information, ensuring that it doesn't demand excessive time, which is already scarce and precious. Through textography, the future of information is illuminated. With its grand scale, it embodies a punch tape, opening the doors of electronics in service to cultural information. Textography serves as the foundation for a close alliance between philosophy, history, and art. Through it, information acquires a holistic meaning, which eliminates the autonomous intellectual constructs of scientific approaches in individual disciplines. This is a new model where information is presented minimalistically. As a result, people are able to synthesize developments across the entirety of history.
Dimitar Varbanov's Partitura Mundi will not remain frozen at the moment of its completion. Work is already underway to create a website that would be much more suitable for use. This modern version will also provide unlimited opportunities for corrections, updates, and the addition of new information such as history after the 20th century or countries not included in the original. This website will be available in the original Bulgarian language as well as in English. In the future, other languages may be added.